Hi, I haven't been doing any YouTube videos or some things like that for a long time, like 2 years, I think, because a lot of things happened in my life, so I needed to deal with it. So right now I'm pretty sure, or a little, that I have solved a lot of things. And just at the start of year 2020, I decided that I would do no more personal development and just develop the things that I have learned already, and I will use them. I will utilize them. But then I have came across a lot of any information I can say about relationships. This can be romantic relationships or friendships or work relationships, and I thought I needed to learn this just to understand people more, because you make assumptions like that everybody is just thinking like you think, and that's not a good place to start. Actually, of course, there are some negative people who are narcissists, sociopaths. they are different, but there is also some healthy narcissism. I can say healthy egoism, or and what is a healthy personality? I should ask. And I have to confess to you that I right now believe that a lot of healthy people are really going crazy because of unhealthy people, because they are thinking if they are like me, they are thinking everybody is healthy, and the case is not like that. And in order to navigate through life, we have to learn what to do in life. And I've come across a very good article. I'm going to read this with you now. I haven't read it completely yet, I just took the title and I decided to make this YouTube video. I'm going to give the link in the description if you would like to. This is from Lifehack, because I wanted to research attachment styles. This is like a brand new. It's like a brand new discovery in psychology, human psychology. People are researching on this, and striving towards secure attachment, how to restructure your thoughts. Just a brief recap. I think the thing you should have is secure attachment. I think I do have that, and but it's really hard in life because you come across a lot of people who are avoidance or anxious people, or some unorganized, disorganized attachment style people. And so it sometimes makes me anxious, sometimes makes me avoidant. I don't think you can be just one type all the time, because sometimes some things happen and in your life, and you go like you behave like you are a disorganized attachment style, like you have a disorganized attachment style, like you get angry easily, but this is not it's not a continuous problem. You can't be categorized in that. You can't be 100% a secure attached person, but that's the goal. That's the thing we should remember always. Okay, now let's start the article. What if you could discover some tools and methods that could improve your relationships? What if, by gaining a little knowledge, you could understand by your relationship dynamics and better give them a boost up? It would be very nice. By learning what secure attachment is and how to restructure your thoughts, You become more self-aware of your relationship dynamics. After becoming more aware, because awareness leads to the choice, which leads to development. After becoming more aware, you can take a few steps to make them better than ever. That's something that many of us could benefit from. When we hear the term secure attachment, our mind typically goes to a relationship, and that's exactly what it's about. In this article, I'll discuss the concept of secure attachments in more detail and how restructuring your thoughts can help you strive towards achieving better relationships. Relationships are a hugely important part of our lives, and whatever we can do to improve them is a good thing for everyone involved. Okay, going on. And let's look at first, what is attachment theory? 1. Let's do a quick overview of what attachment theory is. This will provide a good foundation for the rest of this article and for the rest of your life, I can say. The esteemed psychologist John Bowlby first coined the term attachment theory in the late 60s. Bowlby studied early child conditioning extensively, and what he found was very interesting. His research showed that when a very young child has a strong attachment to a caregiver, it provides the child with a sense of security and foundation. On the other hand, when there isn't a secure attachment, the child will expend a lot more developmental energy looking for security and stability. The child without secure attachment tends to become more fearful, timid, and slow to explore new situations and their environment. When a strong attachment is developed in a child, he or she will be inclined to be more adventurous and seek out new experiences because they feel more secure. They know that whoever is watching out for them will be there if needed. Bowlby's colleague Mary Ainsworth took the theory further. She did extensive studies around infant-parent separations and provided a more formal framework for the differing attachment styles. And now, second, how attachment develops. Simply put, attachment is an emotional bond with another person. Attachment doesn't have to go both ways. It can be one person feeling attached to another without it being reciprocated. Most of the time it works between two people to one degree or another. Attachment begins at a very young age. Over the history of time, when children were able to maintain a closer proximity to a caregiver that provided for them, a strong attachment was formed. The initial thought was that the ability to provide food or nourishment to a child was the primary driver of a strong attachment. It was then discovered that the primary drivers of attachment proved to be the parent-caregiver's responsiveness to the child, as well as the ability to nurture that child in a variety of ways. Things such as support, care, sustenance, and protection are all components of nurturing a child. In essence, a child forms a strong attachment when they feel that their caregiver is accessible and attentive, and if they need them, that the parent or caregiver will be there for them. If the child does not feel that the caregiver is there to help them when needed, they experience anxiety. And we know that there is an anxious attachment style. Okay, we know how the attachment develops, and there are different types of attachments. Okay, this is not male attachment. It's like you should be able to see the attachment style of the person that you are forming an emotional bond with. It's like making a virus check through a document in a mail attachment. Okay. In children and in adults, of course, and in grown-up people, 4 types of attachment styles have been identified. They are as follows. One is secure attachment. Second is ambivalent attachment. Third is avoidant attachment. And fourth is disorganized attachment. Maybe ambivalent is anxious, I don't know, let's see. Secure attachment. This is primarily marked by discomfort or distress when separated from caregivers and joy and security when the caregiver is back around the child. Even though the child initially feels agitated when the caregiver is no longer around, they feel confident when they will return. The return of the parent or caregiver is met with positive emotions. The child prefers parents to strangers, and I think I always see this with babies. And ambivalent attachment is this anxious. These children become very distressed when the parent or caregiver leaves. They feel they can't rely on their caregiver for support when the need arises. Even though a child with ambivalent attachment may be agitated or confused when reunited with a parent or caregiver, they will cling to them. This is like for clingy people and anxious people. And third is the avoidant attachment. This is like, I don't care. These kids typically avoid parents or caregivers, like people moving out too soon, and they don't have, too soon, like in the early years of teenage years. These kids typically avoid parents or caregivers. When they have a choice of being with parent or not, they don't seem to care one way or the other. Research has shown that this may be the result of neglectful caregivers. And there is the disorganized attachment. These children display a mix of disoriented behavior towards their caregiver. They may want them sometimes, and other times they don't. This is sometimes thought to be linked to inconsistent behavior from the parent or caregiver. Okay, very good. Okay, now going on with the article. Okay. What attachments mean to adults? So the big question is, how does this affect us in adulthood? Initially, it makes sense that as a child, if we have someone who will be there when we need them, we feel secure. And on the other end of the spectrum, if we aren't sure someone's going to provide what we need when we need it, we may become more anxious and fearful. As an adult, we tend to wind up in one of 3 primary attachment types based on our childhood experiences. These are secure, avoidant, and anxious. Technically, there is a 4th one, anxious avoidant. But it is quite a bit less uncommon. They are described as follows. Oh, okay. Anxious avoidant, like avoids and becomes anxious at times. It's like disorganized. Secure. Secure. When you have a secure attachment, you are comfortable displaying interest and affection towards another person, but you're also fine being alone and independent. Secure types are less apt to obsess over a relationship gone sour and handle being rejected easier. Secure types also tend to be better than other types with not starting relationships with people that might be best partners. They cut off the relationship quicker when they see things in a potential partner they don't like. I don't know if this is good or not, but it's categorized as good. I don't know. Secure attachment people make up the majority of the attachment types. Okay. Anxious. Folks who have an anxious attachment style typically need a lot of reassurance from their partners. They have a much harder time being on their own and single than the other styles and fall into bad relationships more often. The anxious style represents about 20% of the population. It's been shown that if anxious attachment styles learn how to communicate their needs better and learn to date secure partners, they can move towards secure attachment style. Okay. This can be cured. Okay, avoidance. Avoidant attachment style represents approximately 25% of the population as adults. Avoidants many times have the hardest time in a relationship because they have a difficult time finding satisfaction. In general, okay, so you should be differentiating between avoidant attached people and secure attached people. See things are not for them, so they end relationship. Avoidant people end relationships because they think it's not enough and they look for more. They are not satisfied. In general, they are uncomfortable with close relationships. Like, yeah, I know this. They are. I've listened to this in a YouTube video. I know this from that. They are uncomfortable with close relationships. Close, like emotionally close, and not physical intimacy, but emotional intimacy, I can say. Because avoidant people sometimes are very keen on physical intimacy. I know the professor says like this. He researched this topic. In general, they are uncomfortable with close relationships and intimacy and are quite independent. They are the lone wolf type person. Okay. And there is anxious avoidant. The anxious avoidance style is relatively rare. It is composed of conflicting styles. They want to be close, but at the same time push people away. Oh, okay. I'm most definitely secure. But of course, I have to study these in order to understand people better. They do things that push the people they are closest to away. Many times there can be a higher risk of depression or other mental health issues. And here's where it gets really interesting. Okay. And now let's come to the solution. Move towards secure attachment. The thing is, even if you have a secure attachment style, lifestyle things also move you to other attachment styles. So it's good to know how to move into our secure attachment again or for the first time. The good news is that it is possible to move from one style to another. Specifically, it is possible to move towards a more secure attachment style. Now, as you might imagine, this is not an easy or a quick process like any type of big change where you are attempting to alter such a deeply ingrained mindset. It takes a strong will to accomplish. The first step is developing an awareness of your attachment style. The next step is to have the desire and drive to move your attachment style towards the more secure style. If someone with an anxious or avoidant style has a long-term relationship with a secure type, the anxious or avoidant person can slowly get brought up more towards the secure style. So, secure people, security is like an epidemic. The opposite is also unfortunately true. They could bring the secure person to move towards their attachment style. Therefore, you have to be conscious of your type. And if you want to move towards secure, it takes persistence. Therapy is another option as well. Anxious types many times need to work on their self-esteem, avoidance on their connection specifically, and compassion. Anxious types should have more self-esteem and avoidance should have more compassion. And let's see how to restructure your thoughts. Ready for the way to do it. Here we go. For the avoidant style, as with any type of change on such a deep level, the first step is awareness. Realize you have an avoidant style and be aware of it as you have interactions with your partner or partners. Okay? If you are avoidant, you realize that you are avoidant. Sometimes I think I behave avoidant. I don't know, I should be aware of this maybe. Try to work towards the place of no mutual support and giving taking. Try to lessen your need for complete self-reliance. Allow your partner to do some things that make you a little uncomfortable that you would normally do yourself. Don't always focus on the imperfection of your partner. We all have them. We all have imperfections. Remind yourself of that. Make yourself a list of the qualities that your partner has that you are thankful for. List of positive aspects. This is a procedure this is really suggested by Abraham Hicks, I think. So very good. Look for a secure style partner if at all possible they would be good for you to be with. If you have a tendency to end relationships before they get too far, be aware of that and let it develop further. Okay? Before they get too far, like emotionally too far. Get into the habit of accepting and even instigating physical touch. Tell yourself that it's good for you to have some intimacy. Like avoidant types, they don't want to hold hands or hug. The psychologists tell that intimacy can help you feel safe and secure. And over time, you can realize that it's okay to rely on other people because secure types are reliable. And for the anxious style, sometimes I get anxious. Okay, for the anxious style, the number one thing to work on is learning to communicate needs better. This is a huge issue for anxious style. Yeah, if I tell my needs, they might turn off or something. So if I tell this joke, the other person might not like it, etc. First and foremost, if you communicate your needs more clearly, for example, I would like to see you twice a week at least. You will have less anxiety. That's already a big win. This will also allow you to better assess if a potential partner is good for you. Try to bring your feelings more to the surface and most importantly share them with your partner. Remember that secure attachments typically communicate pretty well. This is what you are working towards. For the anxious avoidance style, the anxious avoidant is a very small percentage of the attachment style. Since this type tends to be anxious in the relationship and more or less a loner, the key here is working hard to be very self-aware of your actions. Use the parts of striving towards secure attachment from the anxious tips. And the avoidant restructuring of your thoughts and consciously work towards being more secure. When you find yourself pushing someone away, ask why. Why do I do this? If you feel worried that your partner is going to leave you, ask again. Where is this coming from? Have they shown you any reason to believe this? Many times there is no real evidence. In that case, allow yourself to calm down and try not to obsess over it. And for the secure style, since the goal is to move towards the secure, more attachment style, there isn't much needed as we might imagine. Something to be aware of is being in a relationship just because it's okay. Don't stay if it's not a good place for you and your partner. Because don't stay because you are secure, you might go along and move towards other person's attachment style if it's not for you. If your partner is of an anxious or avoidance attachment style, stay mindful to not start developing characteristics of those styles because you are with them, okay? And to be with them, because I know it's love you do that, okay? And striving towards secure attachment. As we wrap things up here, you probably developed a good idea of the benefits of secure attachment. If you don't currently have a secure attachment style, here are some benefits of restructuring your thoughts more towards this style. Positive self-esteem and positive self-image. Close and well-adjusted relationships with boundaries. Sense of security in self and the world. Ability to be independent as well as in relationships. Optimistic look on life and yourself. Strong coping skills and strategies for relationships and life. Okay, I'm working on this. We need this. Trust in self and others. Okay. Close, intimate relationships. Strong determination and problem-solving skills. If you are an anxious or avoidant style, or the combinations of anxious avoidant, it is possible to move towards a secure attachment style. It takes self-awareness, patience, and a strong desire to get to being secure, but it can be done. You will find that putting the efforts into it will provide you with more open, honest, and satisfying relationships. Thank you. It has been a very good article. And see you next time.